this, I can get rid of the break sign now. We are no longer on break. So sorry about that. You were the break sign over top of that nice big HoldEm hand there where I greensteined him on the river, but I'm still pretty happy with the play there. Nine, 10, 5, 7 on the Omaha high-low. We're just getting rid of that most of the time, I think. No reason to get involved, really. Yeah, we would have had two pair here, 9s and 5s. With crappy low, I mean, we would have been potentially competing for both ends, but I think we would have been losing on both ends. Yeah, we would have been losing on both ends there. Limits up to 1200 or 600, 1200 now on the Omaha high-low table. I Need to Fluck is still in the tournament, amazingly. I think our 9-9 4 deuce is good enough to see a flop with. That's a nice flop to see with a 4 deuce for your low. Obviously, my 9s have not improved in any way. But there's no reason not to put money in the pot with this sort of a low draw because I'm drawing to the nut low. There's just no other way around it. I Need to Fluck is the sort of person who's quite likely to put money in really badly here as well. So that's a horrible card for me because it just means if he's playing a deuce 5 or any sort of deuce and other card, then even if I hit a low, it's not going to come out very well for me. Nonetheless, I think I still need to put him all in. Well, I was lucky enough to split that, but that went badly wrong fairly deep into the hand, which, but hey, that's the way it goes sometimes. Lots of low cards out on the Omaha high-low table. Wow. Wow, that's a strong hand for Selfmade. Oh, there's Selfmade Fool as well, who's with us in the Razz. Who was there in the Razz tournament with us. So we had Big Matty earlier. Now we've got Selfmade Fool in here as well. I wonder who else from the Razz tournament. I wonder if there's any other names I recognize from the Razz tournament over here. Raylene, I know I've played Raylene last night in one of these, or yeah, Raylene I've definitely played previously to this, maybe even in the Irish yesterday. I'm not sure. One of these for sure I played. Raylene. Fun, fun, fun. So I'm starting to recognize people already, even though it's like my second day here on Tilt. Yeah, we'll check through, see a flop with this. Paired our 6, it gives us a 7-6 3 deuce low draw. Obviously not the best on either end for us, really. I think folding is the thing to do here. Let Poker Griffin deal with I need to fluck. That seems to be what's about to happen. Wow. Wow. I need to fluck is just getting crazy like hands. Well, and this is the sort of hand that I'd really like to play, but it's not really strong enough to be in this situation, I don't think. Four deuce, I'm not going to get involved with on the no limit table, especially not against uh, especially not against Caterpillar up there, who I just greensteined on the river last time I was in a pot with him. Okay, so we've hit the final table on the Omaha high-low. 5 places pay out on this, so we need to bust 4 people before we get into the money. But we're not far away from that now. So that's pretty cool. We're on another final table today. Ace Jack, I'm going to raise over here on the No Limit Hold'em table. Ace 4 Jack Jack on the 08. Pretty decent spot, probably. I think you're going to want to see a flop, and especially with the odds that seem to be developing over here at this point, I think I'm definitely calling through to see a flop with this most of the time. We've got the spade draw, the nut spade draw as well. You know, I just think that there's so many ways this hand can turn into a gorgeous one on the flop. That gives us a decent low draw and a draw to the nut flush. So I'm pretty happy to be involved in this hand at this point. I mean, I'm pretty much check calling always. That 9 is not the friendliest card in the world for me. I don't think it means that I'm folding, because I obviously still have the redraw to the nut flush, which I have just bricked on. And I've also bricked on my low, so I'm obviously check folding this. Well, out of position, I mean, I know that that's probably a super nitty fold. That's probably being a complete nit bitch to get rid of that. But in the small blind out of position, I just think that it's, I'm going to have to probably shove that or re-raise it for sure. And shoving it in this spot is really the only move I've got. So against Caterpillar, I'm getting snapped most of the time, which might be a good spot a lot of the time, but I also think that it's going to be a high variance spot, and Caterpillar is going to show up there with a better hand than Ace Jack a reasonable amount of time as well. So, um, yes, it's nitty, but I'd really like to cash in this tournament actually. So I know that's not necessarily the best way to think about things, and it's not actually the way I'm thinking about things. I want to win the thing. I want the 60 bucks that's up top. But I also know that I'm never going to get the 60 bucks up top if I'm crippled or sitting on the sidelines watching from the rail. So, I'm still playing with chips. Is it going to be a bad decision? Maybe it's not the best plus EV spot all the time, but I'm also still sitting here with chips. So, and a reasonable amount of chips as well. I'm in 10th position, so I'm in a paying spot at the moment with 16 people remaining, 12 places paid, $202 in the prize pool, which was guaranteed at 200. So we just barely made it with 101 people. In later position, I'd be all over a hand like a king eight, but I think under the gun plus one, I'm getting rid of that most of the time. Just too many people to act behind me. I've got a bit of a reckless image, which means I think I'm going to get called in 3-bet fairly frequently by people along here. So I kind of want to have some strength behind me. I think when I come into the pots in early position here at this stage of the game. And King 8 suited is not going to be one that's going to have a ton of strength a lot of times. In fact, I'm actually more inclined to play something like a 6-8 suited than I would be a King 8 suited, in fact. I think that's probably mathematically an intelligent way to look at it, because even though the King's obviously a bigger card, just the 6 and the 8 and the hearts give you much more possibilities for nut hands. I probably should have played that, actually. I kind of insta-folded because I was talking about the other hand. But I probably should be playing that deuce 4 8 8 over here. A lot? So I got bottom pair. Flops bottom pair over here. I don't have any of my hearts, and the straights are pretty backdoor. So I think we're out of the hand here with bottom pair. I could obviously be a little sticky with bottom pair if I wanted to, but I think Steve's probably playing an ace here. That seems pretty likely. I don't know that it's an ace king, but I think Steve playing an ace seems pretty reasonable to me. No reason to even think about getting involved with the Jack 6 offsuit. Ace Queen 8 deuce over on the Omaha high-low table. What's our situation on that? We're 6th of 7 left. Gonna request time for a little bit. Think about this. I'm not in a cash position now. Yeah, I think this is. I think we're throwing our chips in the middle with this one. Ace deuce, ace queen. Uh, I can't be that much of a dog to anybody at this point pre-flop. I don't think, and certainly not now. I've got top pair and I've got the nut low draw still working for me. So we're in pretty awesome shape, and the rest of the chips are going in the middle at this stage without question. There's really nothing to stop me from shoving as many chips as I can. in the middle. I mean, I'm pretty sure that I've got the best hand right now. And I mean, obviously, there could be diamonds out there to draw out on me for a better high. And I obviously haven't made my low yet either. But oh, like shoving the fours there is probably going to be the best spot, and putting all my chips in the middle is going to be the best spot here. Yep. Boom. Binkage. Gotta love that. Gotta love that, folks. The gnome takes on the fish. And the gnome takes it down. So we got 20K over on the No Limit Hold'em table. Puts us in 7th spot with 15 remaining now. Gonna fold this on the Omaha High Low. That pot on the Omaha High Low puts us in 3rd spot. 7 remaining, so we still need to bust 2 people to get in the cash, but sitting in pretty comfortably in 3rd. So I'm much happier now on both tables than I was a couple of minutes ago. I mean, obviously the deuce 7 plays to low, but it's not really something that I want to put a lot of pressure, and I don't have it. There's really, yes, I have hands that I can work to both low and high with those cards. None of them are going to work to very good lower high hands, so you're going to end up getting a showdown and losing a lot of pots. That's just the way it's going to work. Queen deuce over here. I mean, obviously we were getting like 1,000,000,000 to 1 odds over on the No Limit Hold'em table. That might be a slight exaggeration, 1,000,000,000 to 1, but we're getting a lot of odds over here. But even with that, I think the queen two is going to be lighting money on fire a lot of times. Of course, we hit bottom pair, and on a board like that, bottom pair is going to be good a fair bit. Unlike the couple of hands ago where we had bottom pair when the ace was out, and bottom pair is never going to be good there. But hey, that's cool. I don't mind missing the odd hand like that where it's a very marginal spot, and because of the way it exactly works out, it's ends up meaning that you would have been a winner to play it that way. It's being results oriented, and I think that if it's not a good hand to play, it's not a good hand to play, and it doesn't really matter how the cards come out after that. You've just got to go with that and be happy that you've made the right decision. Ace 6. I think we're going to put a couple thousand chips in the pot and see what Rick Rocky does with his big blind. He gives us his big blind. That's awfully nice of him to do that. Yeah, we're going to fold to 5-3 here. I've been pretty aggressive the last couple of hands, so I think we'll let other people play a bit. It's kind of crazy that we're still seeing I Need to Fluck up there here on this final table, coming up closer to the cash. We pretty much had our boot on his throat there, and he managed to wiggle free. We're going to throw a couple thousand chips in with our ace 6, I think. That's, raise an ace in late position is never really going to be a terrible decision, I don't think. And I think a half pot bet here as a C bet is never going to be a terrible spot. I mean, that board's not great for a C bet here because I'm not really expected to have hit much on the 8-8-4 board, but I'm also expected to have pretty big overcards there a lot of times, I think, given the numbers that they're seeing on me if they've got a HUD playing up on me. Because my HUD's saying right now that I'm sitting about 14% VPIP and PFR of 10%. So in theory, my image to everybody else should be that I'm pretty fucking tight at this point and pretty fucking nitty, and I'm only playing massive, massive hands. Um, I think I think I can actually use that image to my advantage to a certain amount. Uh, there's there's definitely an argument to be made for playing this hand over on the 08 table, but I think that the better argument is to fold because you're just again not. Hitting the ace cripples your low hand. Yes, you've got a pair of aces with a queen, but you know, ace jacks are going to be there, ace kings are going to be there, diamonds are going to be there. There's so much right now that's going to be whipping your ass that this sort of hand is it's going to be marginal in a lot of cases, and I think that you're better off just not being involved in the hand. Um, you could win big pots with this sort of hand when you flop fives, when you hit the deuce 3-4, that sort of thing. But you're going to lose a lot of pots with that hand as well. And I think that's the thing that you've got to focus on more than the times you're going to win big pots with. We got the big deuce 5 over there on the HoldEm table. Deuce 4, 9, 10 with two suits. I don't think we need to get involved with this sort of action at this stage. Obviously, having a few more people in to try to bust some guys is never a terrible thing, but I just don't think I just think I'm throwing away chips a lot of times with this. Well, it would have turned out not too bad. I mean, we've got the second nut low at this point with the spade draw. Gonna throw in a 2500, try to take it down from Blastig pre. Deuce, deuce, 10, 3. So he would have hit the. Well, again, being results oriented, we would have actually done pretty well on that last hand, but I still think it's there's not a lot of reason to be involved. Looks like we would have split the low with blue dodge. Oh, and we would have lost the flush to I need to flux, so we would have actually been in pretty bad shape in that hand, which is the reason why, you say why it's not a good idea to play those marginal spots, because even when you look like you've sort of sitting with the nuts, you end up getting quartered. Pretty much raising any ace, I think, in the cutoff on this at this point is going to be profitable, and I think calling this spot for 2.25x to 1 roughly, 2 to 1 roughly, is going to be profitable most of the time. Not against kings, obviously, but, what can you do? Well, hit trip eights. That's what you can do. You can get there, folks. Is what you can do when you get your money in bad. You can get there. Happens. And I should actually clarify that. I don't think I actually got my money in bad there. I think I actually got my money in reasonably good there, even though I was way behind. Obviously I don't need to raise there. I could fold pre and not even be involved in the hand, but if I raise there when he reshoves, I think I've got the odds to make that call, so. Especially when I see that he's 3-betting 13.6% of the time with a 16. Yeah, he's like being super aggressive. So I absolutely have to actually absolutely have to play that aggressively. Ace-8 suited again. I'm going to be raising. We're in relatively late position, so I'm going to be raising here a lot. 8, 9, 10 jacks. So we flopped an open ender. I'm going to be c-betting this. I think as the pre-flop raiser, I hit that board a fair bit. Okay, can check behind here a lot. Like I say, I'm still, I think, the one that hits this board, but we can keep the pot low. MacGyver absolutely could be on diamonds here. So could we. So if we put in a bet here, we might be able to push him off of hands like, well, obviously ace highs like we have, we're going to push him off other hands, but we're not going to, I don't think we're going to push him off two pairs very often, things like that. So I think we're just going to check behind. Do we push him off an ace queen? You know, we might, but I don't necessarily think that he has enough reason to believe that we're playing diamonds there to, you know, granted he's just playing an ace high, but, you know, when we bet there, I don't know. Could we have credibly represented diamonds there? Maybe. Maybe. Still playing seven-handed over here on the 08 table. Got the diamond draw, a pair of fours. My low draw isn't great. I obviously don't have the nut diamonds, but I got the second nut diamonds, so I think I'm not going anywhere at this point. So that doesn't give me a low because I paired my four, and doesn't really give me anything other than my pair of fives. But I also think that I'm still going to be involved in this hand most of the time. Well, at this point, there's already one person all in. It looks like Omanahu's going to be all in. I really think I need to get out of the way, even with the diamond draw there. I think even though I've hit the queen on the river, I'm just going to check behind here. Or check the river because, wow. Because that's why, because he's got a bigger queen. That's why you checked the river there. Kidding, kidding, kidding. But hey, ended up working out well for us. I mean, I think as long as Blastig is going to fold to us in those small blind to big blind spots, we are going to raise him. So I'm all in over on the, ooh, and I'm in pretty bad shape. Yeah, I'm done on the high-low, but I did cash. I ended up min cashing for 5th spot. I think we're going to bet over here. So 729. So that was 5th place. $3.30. 08. Fifth for 735. No. I forget how much I won for that. Hang on, let me see here. 729 on that one. 729. 4-5, we are going to fold that, I think. All right, so let us close out the the 08 table, since we don't need to see that anymore. And let us do a little bit of moving stuff around. And there we go. We now have the rest of the '08, or the no limit hold'em one running up on the stream, and that one is currently playing hand for hand. 13 people left, 12 people pay. I am second in chips at the moment in that one. Queen deuce here on the no limit hold'em. I would have folded that, but they were all nice enough to give me a walk. I think I need to keep the pressure on Blastig. If he's going to keep folding to me, I have to keep raising him in this spot. He is basically trying to cash, I think, at this point, so he's really kind of nervous about the bubble, which means he's going to be folding to me a lot in that spot, I think, until the bubble bursts. I don't know if that's necessarily the right move from his perspective, because I'm going to be taking a lot of his chips that way, but there's not really much that he's going to be able to do about it except shoving his stack and putting himself at risk of bubbling, which he does clearly does not want to have happen. So we're hand for hand, still 13 people left in. I've got an ace jack. I'm going to be playing this hand fairly aggressively if it folds around to me. I think at this point, anybody who would have raised would have gotten 3-bet, and I'm calling anybody who shoves except for maybe Caterpillar to think about Caterpillar, but I think I'm probably even calling Caterpillar shove at this point. I'm going to check behind here and go for the delayed C-bet option, depending on what Caterpillar does on the turn card. I don't hate that turn card. I don't love it. but I don't hate it. It obviously gives me the gut shot to the 10. Um, I have the odds to play gut shot to the 10, 4,800 into 70 into 12,000, so I'm getting just 2 to 1 ish. 3 to 1 almost for a gut shot. My ace is probably live. Yeah, I think we'll wait for another spot. I think we wait for a better spot there. I mean, I think that there's probably an argument for for shoving over top of that bet. But I think equally there's an argument for folding there as well. I mean, obviously my ace jack could even be good at that stage. He could potentially be doing that with uh, the flush draw, the ace high flush draw. I mean, there's a lot of places that he could be doing that. I think where my ace jack is going to be good even, but yeah. I mean, I think waiting, going for another spot would be the way to do it. The bubble has burst. We are now in the money in this Hold'em game. I'm in third chip position at the moment, behind MacGyver in second, and I Hate Myself 1 in first. Just below me, a couple thousand chips below me, is a 333 Dream 333. Full Runner is now done in 12th place for $3.53. Getting like 4 to 1 odds here. Gosh, I think even with an 8 deuce, I need to call here for 4 to 1 odds. And there we go. That's why you call for odds with the 8 deuce, folks. Rick Rocky is done in 11th spot for $3.53. We are now playing hand for hand into, I believe, a 10-person final table. No, yeah, we're now playing hand for hand to the final table. Into the 9-person final table. That little bust out put me up top in the chip count. I am now sitting first with just under 47,000 in chips. We're now playing hand for hand, waiting for the final table to come in. I don't think Blastic is as likely to fold to my small blind raises as he was before, but there's only one way to find out, isn't there? Folding our deuce 5. And I mean, as long as Blastic is folding to us in his big blind when we have the small blind and we're raising, we're going to keep raising. That's, the way that you get me to stop raising your small blind is to stop folding to me. Raising your big blind, I mean, is to stop folding to me. Because if I raise and you fold, I'm going to keep raising. That's just the way it goes. I've gotten a bit more active on this table in the last little while. My stats have gone up. A little while ago, I was reporting that I was at 9% VPIP and PFR. I'm now at 19% VPIP and 15% PFR. So I've gotten a little bit more active over the past few hands. C-betting 75% of the time. Aggression 4.3. I have not folded to any 3-bets, but I'm not sure if that's because I think I've only seen 1 or 2 of those. But I'm apparently folding left to C-bet, so I'm going to have to look into that. It's almost 2 a.m. here where I am in southeast Alberta. It's a little sleepy, but we're gonna play this one through to the bottom. I'm still sitting in top chip position with MacGyver in second and 333 Dream, 333 in third. Blastig is our small stack at 44.98, and he's just gone all in. I don't think. So 3,300 into 7,000. So I'm not even getting 2-1 on this. I really don't think I'm getting odds to call with a 5-3 even suited. We're still playing hand for hand for the final table. Still waiting for somebody to bust. A little bit of trash talk on the table going on here between Carasino 2s on the other table and ninth in chips versus Catiper here, who's on our table, and 7th in chips. Let's see what we see with a flop here. I'm pretty happy with that flop. I'm obviously behind any other ace, but I also think that there's going to be a lot of club draws out there. I think there's going to be some other hands other than aces, a fair bit, and you know, Other aces, I'm probably just going to lose money to. Is there any reason to value bet here? Probably no reason to value bet. Gives me two pair. I'm not putting him on a flush, frankly. I'm going to value bet my two pair. Four three. I certainly could raise this in the cutoff. I think Caterpillar's. I might want to. I think he's a little bit tilted against me right now. That said, I'm not sure I want to be involved with such a marginal hand when he's tilted against me. So even in position, hard to say. Six three. I think we fold that. Still playing hand for hand on the final table, or to the final table. I am still sitting in top chip position. I've extended my lead a little bit now. I am now 8,000 chips ahead of the second place person, who is now 333 Dream. MacGyver 1907 is in third position. I lie. MacGyver's now in fourth position. Sexy Stevo has just moved up into a third spot. Obviously pretty happy with the way this has gone so far. I'll be the first to admit I've hit a couple of hands that I've been reasonably fortunate on. I mean, I Greenstein somebody on the river with an ace, but it was a race. For the record, from pre-flop, it was ace-jack over 4-4, so actually it was Caterpillar that I Greenstein there, I think. So yeah, I mean, yes, I got lucky. That is Blastig done in 10th place for 353, and that is us on the final table, folks. We have the chip lead at the final table. This is bankage, folks. We have some serious bankage happening. 5 minutes to break. When I will go off and do my custodial things. I got to tell you, the 60 bucks up top of this tournament would be darn nice addition to my bankroll. Definitely looking at that 60 bucks. I'm happy to admit that I had a few spots in here where I definitely got the cards I needed at the time I needed them. But hey, that's part of winning poker tournaments. You know, I was watching Jamie Staples all day today, Poker Staples, who's, for the record, if you're looking for a great No Limit Hold'em stream, Poker Staples is a great place to go for tournament No Limit Hold'em. I just totally lost my train of thought. I know I was going to talk about something that he said on his stream today, and I just totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, it's gone. It'll come back to me eventually, I guess. So break coming up shortly. Looks like I'm going to head into the break with the top chip stack. Split pot there with the two pair, aces and kings. Carcino is complaining because he didn't think that should be a split pot. He thought his 9 should have played over Sexy Steve-O's 8, but the 9s and the 8s aren't going to play all that often, actually. I think I'm getting good enough odds to make this call. Queen 10 is definitely stronger, but out of position like that, I don't think it's really going to pay off for me often enough. Yeah, I can fold the 7-3. I mean, you certainly could make a light 3-bet there. I don't know how often it's going to get a fold from MacGyver at that stage, but I think the 6-6 we're definitely doing something with when it comes around to us. Obviously, what we do with it depends on what happens before us, but we're definitely going to put in a bit of a raise here. For the record, I went a little bit bigger than the 1 or 2.5 that I usually do there, just because I like 42 as a number. I'm a geek, and I like 42 and 4200, so I was going to play that. I think Dreams can have a king here some of the time for sure. I don't think he has to have a king here, and I think that I'm going to be playing an ace king or kings a fair amount here as well. So I really think that I'm going to get folds there a ton, whether my 6s are not necessarily best or not. Alrighty, so we are going to the break. I'll be back. Alrighty, I am back here at Anything But Hold'em, and we are hanging out here playing a little Hold'em here on Anything But Hold'em. We were playing Razz to start the night off and cashed second in that for $7.35. While we were playing that, we jumped into this $2.20 $200 guarantee no limit Hold'em game. At the final table of that now. Once we finished with the Razz, I went and looked at the 08 fixed limit 08 that was a late regging, and I jumped into that and finished it off and ended in fifth there for 7.29, and we're still here on the final table of this no limit Hold'em. Sitting in first chip position, I do believe still. Yes, still sitting in first chip position. So our next payout is $4.55 for ninth place. Of course, we got our eye on that top prize of $60.60 up top for first. That's really what we're after tonight. The 6-8 suited is definitely a playable hand. I'm in a bit early position for me to want to play a one gap suited connector like that. That's probably a bit nitty of me, but then I'm a bit nitty. So, you know. I'm not too proud to admit that I'm nitty sometimes. Hello, my name is Elron, and I am a net. I'm definitely channeling my inner nittiness this evening, but I'm also in the chip lead, so not sure you can argue with my strategy all that much. Three five on the big blind, not a bad hand to defend, really. 11,000 and 18,000. I mean, I'm never behind, or I'm never ahead in this spot, obviously. But I've almost always got live cards, which usually puts me in something like a 70-30 type spot. But I don't really think at that point I want to go for it. Ace Queen, on the other hand, is one that I probably do want to play a little bit more aggressively. I'm not going to have hit this board very often, but I still think I'm going to c-bet a fair bit. I am c-betting 100% on this table so far, but it's only 11 hands, so it's not really something you can put a lot of stock in. I think I'm going to get folds there a fair bit. Bottom stack now is Viktor Vasilichuk with about 9, just under 9 big blinds. I am our top stack with just under 30 big blinds. So not that deep at the moment. We're fairly shallow, but I'm obviously in the best position of anybody. The next stack below me is about 15,000 chips down, so pretty much almost a full 10 big blinds lower than me. Like 7 big blinds lower than me. Which at these levels is a pretty substantial difference, I think. Have we looked at nationalities around this table? Let's have a look at that. So we've got Hashnader here from Austria. I Hate Myself, Belarus. Dream from Canada. Caterpillar is Turkmenistan. Viktor Vasilichuk, as you might guess, is Russian. MacGyver 1907 is Australia. Sexy Stevo is Australia. And Carcino is another Canadian along with me. Wow, not many Canadians in here tonight. Not many Canadians in here tonight at all. Just Dream, myself, and Carcino. I think ace-4 in late position, well, middle position with Victor on the big blind is probably going to be a raise most of the time here. An open raise. 2.5x for the record is kind of my standard open raise amount. It's a little bit more than just a min raise. It doesn't risk as much money as a 3 or 3.5x would. It gets the same message across, I find, though. So, you know, I think that's tends to be what I do. Do I need to keep barreling here? I think I can check this spot, see what Hasnader does. I think they're going to have a pair of some kind here, a fair bit. I think they're going to be on an ace-queen or an ace-jack a fair bit. I think they're going to be on a flush draw a fair bit at this point as well. Don't really think we have enough outs to really be considering putting money in there. Gave up our chip lead, but I don't think that was a terrible spot. Yep. That's the best answer Hasnader could have given. It's interesting that yesterday I was a panda, and now I've just been beaten out of the chip lead by the panda. There might be some karma in that. That's okay. Still in second place. I'm still pretty happy with my position. We're sitting in it's on the final table anyways, so at this point I've doubled my money at least, I believe, because 455 was it? Yeah, 455 is the next payout. So for 220, yeah, we've doubled our money at this point already. So everything after that is gravy. Obviously, we're looking at the top spot. Obviously, we're always looking at the top spot, but something I always like to kind of hammer home is, yes, we're always looking at the top spot, and you always want to win. That's where all the money is in poker, and to make the best ROI, you're going to need to win more often than the next guy wins. But that said, it's important to remember that the point of poker is to go away from the table with more money than you sat down at the table with. You accomplish that with a min cash. So you should never be disappointed with a min cash, because a min cash is a successful day of poker. You have left the poker table with more money than you sat down at the poker table with. Now, it's obviously not the most successful day you could possibly have, um, but a bad day at poker is when you leave the poker table with less money than you sat down with. A good day of poker is when you leave the table with more money than you sat down with. So at the end of the day, yes, it can be frustrating to bust out early to get min cashes, or to have a huge chip lead and then lose it in a flip somehow that goes badly for you. Um, Alrighty, so Sexy Steve-O is done in ninth place for 4 at 55. At the end of the day, at this stage, it's all gravy because we're in the profit. So we've already had a good day at poker. It's just a matter of how good our day of poker is going to be. It's not a matter of whether we're having a good or bad day of poker. We've already established that our day of poker is good. So we're just at this point establishing whether how good that day of poker is. So I think that's important to remember when you're looking at the cashes. No, is our objective to min cash? No, our objective is never to min cash. Are we pissed off when we min cash? No, because when we min cash, we're walking away with more money than we sat down with, and that's always um, what the goal of poker is. So, you've accomplished your goal when you do that. And so I think that you should always keep those two balances in mind. Um, don't be too happy with the fact that you've min cashed, but don't be too upset with the fact that you've min cashed either. I obviously could have raised just by position with the 10-8 there, and I probably should most of the time. But I don't think I'd have to all of the time. Let me have a look at what my button raise percentage is. I've actually folded both times on the button here, apparently, but I've raised the cutoff once, so that's interesting. That is interesting. That probably means I'm playing too much my hands and not my position enough, so I have to adjust to that. I shall have to adjust to that. For the record, you're not seeing it on screen, but I do have a HUD running. I run HoldEm Manager 2 as my HUD, so that definitely does help. Because of course I don't play at full tilt a ton, I don't have really any information on any of these players other than the ones that I've played against in this particular tournament. Like Caterpillar, I've got 176 hands on now, but otherwise, I don't really have a ton of information because I don't play against these. I don't play at full tilt, so I haven't played against these guys, so I don't really know. But that's just where I was pulling that information about my steals on the button, steals on the cutoff, and so on from. Was my Old Manager 2 HUD. Carcino wants one of us big stacks to make a play. Well, no, I don't think I want to make a play, frankly. I think I want to sit back like a panther in a tree waiting to pounce on something coming by on the ground. Is I think the way I want to play this for now. Can fold the king six or the queen six out of position here under the guns. Never going to be a great spot to be in. Carcino claiming he has aces at the moment. And everybody gave him a walk. So, hey, maybe it was a good strategy to claim he had aces. Depends whether you wanted some value from them or not. Dream shoving over me with an 8-5. I'm probably not calling that. I mean, I'm not getting odds 22,000 into 30,000. So, yeah, take her Dream. Suddenly getting a run of really crappy cards. I mean, I think if this limps around to me, I'm probably going to call in here just to see if I can flop some hearts. But one heart is better than no hearts, I suppose. I do still have a backdoor, which if we get a free turn card, it might develop. I'm not getting a free turn card, though. And there's really no way I can continue on this pot in any sort of reasonable way. Which is fine, because we didn't end up with anything anyways, so... Set of deuces for Caterpillar, and Dream is done in 8th spot for $6.06. Our 7th place prize now, we are up for $7.58 is the next prize out. We're playing Jack King, and I think we're playing this for our stacks. Victor Vasilicek is all in, and MacGyver has reshoved over top of him. I think obviously our 10-3 is not even considering being in the mix at this point. Ooh, and now Hasnader has reshoved. So we have shove, reshove, reshove, fold, fold. Ace, queen, jack, jack, queen, queen. Hasnader is in there with the best of it. Ooh, yes, Hasnader is in there with the best of it for everything. And boom. Victor Vasilicek is out in 7th with $7.58. MacGyver 1907 is out in 6th place for $11.11. I'm now sitting in 4th chip position. Carcino is well behind me in 5th, and 5th spot is 15-15. That hand moved me into 3rd without even having to play a hand. As I hate myself, lost some chips and dropped below me. I think 2,400 into 99. We got to play this with the 7-5. We can definitely flop some hands with this. Would check. I think now that I hate myself has checked to me on the flop, I think I need to bet this turn. And I think I'm going to take it down a fair bit of the time. I don't think Carcino has to be huge at this point with the number of big blinds he has, but he's been folding a ton of hands to get to this point. So I think that he's got to be reasonably big. The 10 jack is, ooh, actually he's nowhere near as big as I thought he was going to be. He hits the 8 and takes down. My 10 jack wouldn't have done any difference there anyways, so other than give him more chips. Jack 6 is a fool. Oh, Queen Queen. So I think we're obviously going to be playing this hand. Nice to see the 3-bet from Caterpillar because that's sort of what we were wanting for, and we're reshoving over top of his 3-bet. Pretty much. Oh, and he's got aces. Of course he's got aces. I mean, why wouldn't he have aces? What else does he have there other than aces? Alrighty. So we're done in 5th place for 15 of 15. $15.15. So that's pretty cool. Excellent. Well, let's just have a quick look before I jump off the stream here at my. I started yesterday back here on Full Tilt as a panda bear with $22 and change after a $20 deposit from my PokerStars account. I had $2 and change in my Full Tilt account. After today's action here at Tilt, where I got second in a Razz this morning, I got fifth in a Razz, or second in a Razz this evening, fifth in an Omaha high-low this evening, and now just fifth in the No Limit HoldEm this evening. My bankroll here on Full Tilt is now up to $49.74. So we've almost double and half again our bankroll today, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool day. So yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. And glad you guys could hang out with me tonight. Glad we could watch the stream. Stay tuned this weekend. We're going to play on Sunday. If you like Badoogie, there's going to be a Sunday Badoogie game. Go to the tournament lobby in Stars. Search for anything but Hold'em, and you'll find the weekly challenge, which is a Badoogie this weekend. So check that out. $1.10. Join us. I'll be streaming that from start to end, no matter where I finish. I'm sure we'll be back tomorrow. I think Josh and I are going to do some heads up PLO tomorrow. And we'll go from there. So it's been good to hang out with you tonight. I'm heading to bed. Later.